the Town of St. John Park Board meeting for September 15th, 2020. We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to move to the approval of minutes for Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. Approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, that's a motion by Moffitt, second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bovat,
Aye.
Mike Moffitt,
Aye.
and Pat Connolly.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Item number 4, we're going to move to new business. Lake Hills Amphitheater restoration proposal.
Yeah, so in your packet, you'll see a quote for the restoration of the Lake Hills Amphitheater. This was an item that was on the town's comprehensive 5-year financial plan. It was something that we had targeted as, a project we could still get done this year. I don't know if you've been out to the Lake Hills Amphitheater recently, but it is in pretty poor shape. I did include a couple pictures on that quote that give you an idea about the condition it's in. The pictures don't really do it justice, but it's in really poor condition. The quote you see has 2 different prices. One is $29,900 and one is $24,600. The difference in the price is essentially one. You see the red spray deck is $18,500, and then the second, the alternate to that system is a price of $13,200. The one price is just 2 coats of the spray deck, and the second price is just one coat. Talking to the vendor, he said there's really no difference in the work other than it's basically aesthetic. But the one quote would do the job that we would restore it to its original condition.
And Tyler, when they say aesthetic, are we talking like just a better look, basically?
Basically just a better look. I had asked him to give us some options just to consider. He said if we want to restore it to the original condition, he said the one quote, the $24,600 quote would do the job.
Any other questions on that? What do you guys?
When I say it's going to enhance it, what's it going to make the colors brighter, or is it going to make it last longer for the extra? And like how much longer would that last? Do you have any clue? Or
He said that the issue with the current amphitheater is he suspects it might not have been installed correctly initially, and that it probably started failing within a couple of years after its installation, and then it wasn't really maintained the way it should have been. But as far as the second coat option, he says it really is purely aesthetic. We would still have to maintain it, have them come out and power wash it annually. He said maybe after 3 to 5 years we would pay to get it resealed. That would cost about $3,000 to $4,000, but it would stay in good shape and not get to the point where it's at now.
Well, I think that if it doesn't really need the second coat, I think that would probably be fine just to go with I'm not worried about the aesthetics. I think it'll look much better once it's improved, And what would that cost be again then? For just the one coat, the 18.5?
That was the 24,600. The, as far as the coding, that price was 13,200. That's included in the entire, scope of the work.
The top, yeah. And then your recommendation would be, you feel like we should go with the alternate system?
Talking to him, I think that probably would, restore it to its original condition. And, it would just be something we would have to monitor going forward. We couldn't get this work done and then leave it. It seems like that might have been the case, it's how it's got to its current shape.
Okay, and then I noticed he said he's looking at like 8 days if no repairs needed. Does he anticipate maybe having some repairs, or what was his thoughts? Did he kind of throw anything out there, or?
I don't believe so. He looked at, there were some of the benches where, the seating areas would need some work. He didn't really foresee this being delayed longer than 8 days. We do have a wedding booked there on October 2nd. He said the sooner we can get this job done, the better. That way we don't run into fall weather. But I have blocked off the facility after October 2nd. So that's still something we could potentially get done this year if the board wants to go that route.
Okay. I would like to consider altogether concrete for the alternate system at $24,600.
I had one thing. After the pledge, we didn't do our initial roll call, who was present, so I don't know if this is official yet. I just want to make sure.
Just if you would please just have a roll call for the official record.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll do a roll call.
okay.
Mike Moffitt,
Here.
Mike Bovat,
Here?
Pat Connolly,
Here.
Don Boersma is absent, Craig Phillips,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas,
Here.
Mike Schilling, you're on the list too,
Here.
and Nicole Bennett.
All right, thank you for that. Thanks, Mike. So considering the alternate system for all things concrete for Lake Hills Amphitheater restoration for $24,600.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, that's a motion by Mike Moffitt, a second by Pat Connolly. Do Mike Bovat,
Aye?
Mike Moffitt,
Aye.
Pat Connolly.
Aye.
New business, moving to item B, contractual agreement for Paddy's All-America.
Yes, also in your packet is a agreement with Paddy's All-American. This will be a partnership we do with them to offer gymnastics, dance, swim, Ninja Zone, and a few other programs. The agreement shows that their facility charges a $39 annual membership fee for their participants. They would issue us a code that's specific to our department, and if participants register using that code at their facility, they would waive that $39 membership fee for those participants, run a report at the end of every month, and then write us a check of $39 per participant to use that code. So if I register my two kids for and it's per family, if I register my kids for their programs using the St. John Parks code, they would write us a check at the end of the month for $39 per family. This is a similar agreement that we worked out with Midwest Ice Arena earlier this year, I believe, looking back through the minutes.
Okay. I would like to consider a contractual agreement with Paddy's All-American, unless anybody has any questions or comments on that. I think it's pretty straightforward, guys. Like to consider the agreement for Paddy's All-American.
I'd make a motion.
A second.
It's a a motion by Mike Moffitt, and second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bobach?
Aye?
Pat Connolly?
Aye.
Mike Moffitt?
Aye.
New business, moving to item C, Lancer Park Pavilion Roof Replacement.
Yeah, so this, and I apologize, this was a late addition to the agenda. We received the quotes just in the past couple of days after the initial agenda was sent out. But on the, again, going back to the town's comprehensive financial plan, one of the projects that they had listed was the Prairie West Pavilion Roof. That was designated to come out of the Riverboat Fund, which the town council oversees. So I'll be submitting a request to purchase to them for their consideration at next week's meeting for the Prairie West Pavilion Roof. But another project that we identified that needs to be done is the Pavilion Roof at Lancer Park. It's in pretty bad shape right now, and it was one of those projects that we identified that we could still get done this year. If you look at the quote in your packet, it shows the price of $49.95, and at the bottom it says it would also be plus the needed decking for the job. He, talking to the contractor, he's not gonna know how much decking is needed until he starts to get in to do the work. So if we did wanna move forward with this project, I would ask that, the job is not to exceed $5,500 based on the amount of decking that's needed. He says that the worst case scenario would be $1,500 worth of decking.
Okay, so removal of the shingles and everything would be $6,040.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, you're looking at, this would be the Lesniak Construction.
And you're talking about the other one? Okay. Consider Lancer Park Pavilion Roof Replacement.
Is this two different bids? Is this two different people doing two different jobs?
Yeah, so that's a quote that we got, it came via email. They're gonna submit a formal quote. I mean, right, Gabe?
Yes, tomorrow morning. I'll have it.
Right. Their price came in at $6,040. One for Lesniak Construction came in at $49.95, not including the needed decking, which he, again, the worst case scenario he said was going to be $1,500. So it would be more likely to be around $1,000 or so is what he's estimating. So the two prices are about the same, and the scope of the work is the same as well.
So for the price, we want to put the $48.95.
$49.95, and the project would need to be approved for an amount not to exceed $6,500 based on the amount of decking that's going to be needed.
All right, motion to,
I'm still confused, sorry.
okay, he's saying it's
We
going
have
to
two
be
different companies here.
$48.95.
The
For this one.
$48.95, that's less than that.
Less than that, $48.95.
Did,
Plus the 1,500.
did Fresno and whatever, did they give us a bid for that too, or no?
That's something that, you know, it came through that email. They were going to submit a formal quote in the morning.
So they didn't give us one yet.
I believe Gabe said they're gonna, tomorrow morning, they're gonna have the quote.
So do we want to vote on this, or we want to wait for that, or, like?
That's something we can table it for.
Well, no, I'm just curious, 'cause like, I see this one has two on it, this one only has the one.
Yeah,
That's where I was
It's kind of
confused.
informal, it just came to, he described the detail, the scope of the work in his email, and then the price. It just didn't come like a formal quote like the other one.
I got a question. If, could we vote to have the work done and then have somebody decide
I
on
have no
who's
problem.
going to do the work?
I have no problem if we go with Leslie, I just was confused.
Yeah, right, I know exactly what you're saying, because, like, the other bid's gonna come in tomorrow morning. So that way you can compare apples and apples, and then deem somebody necessary to decide upon who we're gonna go with.
Well, I think we'll just table this. We'll table it.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll need to actually award one contract or the other on a set dollar, or at least a dollar that's, you know, of who you're specifically
The exact
selecting for the
amount.
contract, yes. And then if it was to be, you'd have the authority to set out to Tyler even to have to not exceed. But obviously, the scope of the work may be different than with the bids that you're currently looking at, and that would definitely be something that you would have to consider prior to making that, or giving him that authority.
So then I would have a question then. If the bid came in tomorrow morning, we'd have to wait a whole month in order to vote upon it, decide on who's gonna do the work?
Yes.
Well, for the scope of the work as
It-
well,
what-
because obviously if you're going to compare, and from that standpoint, I'm assuming with the time frame that it was, kind of just the consideration with them, Tyler, on getting this information with not
Right.
necessarily or was this put out to them as being a hard deadline for when they were to get their, or provide their bid to you?
We told them our meeting was tonight, and, that email came, this afternoon.
So they knew today was the deadline, they didn't get the price in.
Yeah.
So in that sense, their bid in that regard would be as to Lancer Park.
Right.
But nothing as to Prairie.
No.
So you have the full authority to proceed forward
With Leslie if we wanted to.
as to, the information that you have regarding Lancer Park and deciding between the two, and as well as you can take action as to Prairie based upon, the bid that you do have. But if you are looking to consider, something else, then obviously you would need to make that determination and still leaving that open for bids to come in and to table it to next month.
Yeah, I'd kind of prefer to table it. What do you think?
Now that brings up another point. They had plenty of time to get this in, and they decided to wait till today and only give us half of it. So it makes you kind of think,
Yeah.
that's even getting the bid in, so how's the work gonna turn out?
Right.
Like, if they can't even get the bid on time, how's it, and we have Lesniak's, unless we can still table it, but I'm just giving my opinion. What do you think?
I would defer to, I would stay out of it, I would defer to you guys. I'd let Tyler and Mike,
Tyler, what can you provide in light of the bid that,
because I don't know either of them.
what you have for Lancer? I mean, there's some, there's 1,000 and some change difference in the two, from your understanding. It's kind of hard to tell from what they're proposing in the email, what extent
Right.
above and beyond that this would include. So in that regard, was your understanding that this was for
First.
the same work as is set out in the Lesniak bid?
That was my understanding. The Lesniak bid did not include, like I said, any decking that was gonna be needed for the work. Again, he estimated it was gonna be, worst case scenario, $1,500. That's worst case, which would put the project of about $6,500. But he said in all likelihood, it would most likely be around $6,000, which would be about what the second quote was.
Okay. But either way, he's not gonna have a drop dead number until he gets into the work, is what you're saying.
Right, which would have to be approved, not to exceed a certain amount, which, I put on a $6,500 on the request to purchase.
Well, under that, if we got, yeah.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion, we go with Lesniak for the project, not to exceed, what was the number you said?
65.
6,500?
For one of the parks, both of the parks, what are?
This is for Lancer Park Pavilion.
Got a motion by Mike Moffett, is there
I second.
a second by Pat Connolly. Okay, Mike Lovat,
Aye.
Mike Moffett,
Aye.
Pat Connolly.
Aye.
And then for the Prairie West, is that gonna be a $1,500 also possible addition?
You know, that quote, no, and like I said, that's gonna be coming out of the Riverboat Fund. That's what the town council identified as part of the comprehensive plan for the town. So I was gonna submit that for their consideration next week, since that isn't a fund that we manage.
Okay. I think that works.
So that's it for that.
Yeah, that'll be good there. Moving on to item 5, old business. Item A, basketball court renovations and repairs.
Yeah, so FlexCord was out to do work on our basketball courts at Civic and Lancer. We're still waiting on, they still have to come out and do, set the goals next week. They're gonna let the concrete cure for a week, and then they'll be out next week to finish it. St. John Paving at Larimer had resurfaced, had done that work out there, and that we're waiting on them to come out. They wanted to let that sit for 28 days, and they'll be out at the end of the month to finish the work there, and those goals will be set.
Nice. Wayne had called me. I had the opportunity to go out. I mean, it looks phenomenal. I mean, it looks really good. Courts. Can't wait to get out there and maybe slam a few. I don't know.
You can't, now there's no rim.
Yeah. Anything else, Tyler?
And just to let you know, I've been looking into, this was decided before I came on, but I was looking into flex court systems and just the tile systems that we have out there now. And through other park, you know, on the National Recreation and Park Association forum. And other departments are pretty happy with the systems that have installed, and they said they've been really well received in those communities.
Great. I know Munster has some. We've seen those. Wayne went out there at tennis courts, and it looks really good. Thank you for that, Tyler. Item B, the Heartland Park fencing project.
Yeah, so we got confirmation from Fence Masters today, actually, that they're going to be out next week to do the fence work at Heartland Park, as well as the dumpster enclosure. Gabe is going to coordinate that with them to make sure it's done in a way that's going to be able to accommodate the trash truck coming in and out there. But yeah, I'm not sure what the holdup on the agreement was, why they didn't get that back in August, but they got it now, and they're going to be out there next week.
That's great. That's good, ain't it, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Moving to item C, Heron Lake splash pad.
Yeah, so I was hoping, Craig, you had emailed about the insurance adjuster earlier.
Yeah, so I had forwarded some emails to you, Mr. Bovat, as well as Tyler today. Just kind of give you some, I guess, history on what's transpired as far as communications on these. So at the end of August, somewhere toward the end of August, I can't remember the exact date, I had forwarded the information we received regarding the splash pad, the replacement cost, to the adjuster that's been assigned to us from our insurance carrier. And they confirmed that they received the information, but I hadn't heard anything as of today back on that. So I asked our agent with our insurance company to reach out to our adjuster to find out what the status of that was. And apparently the adjuster has contacted Great Lakes Recreation for some more information, more clarification on the components related to the splash pad control system. And they're waiting to hear back from Great Lakes Recreation on that. They haven't heard back yet. So unfortunately, nothing more to report on that, other than we did ask. I was on vacation all last week and got back, and I still hadn't heard anything about that, so I asked our agent to look into that, and that's what we got back with regard to that. So unfortunately, nothing more to report at this time on that, other than I do know that the adjuster has been in contact with Great Lakes Recreation to try to get some more information. So That's what I know about that.
Okay.
Do you want me to address since you were talking about Heartland Park, do you want me to address that as well at this point on the
Sure.
status of the insurance claim?
Well,
Or do you want me to wait till staff?
yeah, why don't we just wait?
Okay,
Just
that's
hold
fine.
off. Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you, Mr.
No
Phillips.
problem.
Mike, I think I would just ask for some guidance from the board, because we have, at the splash pad, it's still exposed right now, as we were waiting to hopefully replace that controller. I don't know how long we can just leave it, exposed like that. All the piping that Gabe had dug up to do that work initially is still just sitting there with, cones around it.
Yeah, I have my grandkids over there. I've seen that. Gabe, what's your thoughts on that, if you don't mind commenting, please?
So the piping itself is buried. There's only one small section. There's a piece of conduit that caused our problem that broke off on the outside. And that's what caused the box to leak. But I need the electrician to dismantle the box to pull the wire out so he can fix the conduit on the outside. That's why I kept that hole open. The hole's maybe a 2x2 hole. Just enough for him to get the little elbow in there and run new wire through it. Otherwise, you'd have to dig up the whole thing. So if we could, I don't know how this works with insurance, if we could maybe pay the bill up front and then recoup what we can from the insurance, I'm not sure if that's feasible, but I'd like to kind of get this project done and behind me.
You have any idea when they might?
They haven't given us an idea, and there's no guarantee as to how much they'll pay us. Obviously, we can get reimbursed by what they'll pay us, but they haven't given us a dollar amount yet because they're still waiting to hear back from Great Lakes Recreation.
Is it something they'll just reimburse us? Like, say we invest,
They'll cut us a check.
but I'm saying if we invest 5,000 now, will they still invest either way, or because?
It's our risk. I mean, we can do whatever we want. It's just however much the check that's cut to us is what we would get reimbursed.
But it's gonna cost us probably the same, like, to fix it.
I would think so, yeah, because that's the information I sent to them. Now, I did not have the updated information on what he's talking about now, so if we want to include that in consideration of, the additional cost of what it takes to fix that situation, I would have to send that to them.
So basically, installing a new box would be covered.
Right.
Microphone, please.
The cost of the box is what I've submitted to them. If you want to give me a quote for what it would cost us to install it, then if you want to forward that to me, I can send that to them as well.
We could just, we could look up what it cost for the original time up in Boone Electric. It'd be the exact
And then
same
just send
cost.
that to me? Okay,
Okay.
and I can forward it to them.
What I was kinda getting is, say we went ahead and said, let's do this project, and it costs us, I have no idea what it's gonna cost. Is that gonna hurt us anyway in our insurance?
I don't believe so.
Claim.
It's just, they're just gonna cut us a check.
So we kinda need to get this
They'll
done,
reimburse us, they'll decide what they're gonna reimburse us and cut us a check.
so that would just go back into our, whatever.
Right.
So basically, I think
We need to get it fixed.
we need to get moving on it.
Yeah.
But if you wanna send that to me, I'll forward it to them.
Gabe, what's the price on the box? It was originally at 5,800, and we were gonna get a possible discount,
I don't have those numbers on me right now.
and it was gonna be like
I want to say it was,
3,900 or something.
It's 38.
20, I believe
There
that's
you go.
included in your packet.
And I submitted the original number, from when we had before. I submitted the higher number to the insurance.
well, that's what, I mean, because it's still brand new, and it's only 3 weeks old, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Right.
So what are we looking, we need
3920, I mean, it shouldn't be more than that, right?
not to exceed, so, or I mean, is that gonna cover everything at 3920?
I want to say the installation was roughly around
Five
50,
after the
400 bucks,
part.
something like that, for the box itself. The install.
And, what the electrician is doing as
Labor,
well.
yeah.
Labor and wire and conduit or whatever he's doing. Plus,
The wire's good, it's just unplugging it and plugging it back in, and then just one piece of small plastic conduit on the outside to be replaced. The threads are damaged on it.
Well, then, we need to move forward, and it's 3920 for the component, And then the labor, we would think would be maybe 1,800, about $5,000 total.
You think we could get under $5,000? You think that would cover everything, or we
I
make?
think the labor should be $500, whatever the labor is plus the box. We should be safe.
45, so 5,000.
Yeah. Not to exceed $5,000 or.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, we can make a consideration of the repair at Heron Lake Splash Pad for the controller and labor not to exceed $5,000.
So moved.
I second.
That's a motion by Mike Moffett, second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bovat,
Aye?
Mike Moffett,
Aye.
Pat Connolly.
Aye.
Okay. Old business, item D, Tri-Town Flag Football.
Yeah, this was discussed at the board level, I believe, in June. We had representatives from Tri-Town Flag Football attend the meeting to make a plea if they could promote their program in the town's utility bill. I believe in the past, our department denied them this request. Since we have an agreement with the National Flag Football League, I included that agreement in your packet to review. We receive $5 per participant of that program, and in exchange, we promote it for them in our brochure and in other ways as well, twice a year in the utility bill, both for the spring and fall. You guys were here in June, I wasn't, but I think they gave you a good a presentation about what it was they were wanting, essentially just to promote their program in the utility bill. This came up now because a representative from their program reached out to our clerk treasurer, and that was forwarded to me. And since it was previously discussed at the board level, I thought I would bring it up to your attention again.
Absolutely. I was just going to ask, Wayne, is that the same gentleman that were here, correct?
Right, that's the same group of people.
Okay.
And we're not favoring one over the other. We're just giving them both equal opportunity to advertise with our water bill.
Okay. I would consider Tri-Town Flag Football to be able to advertise in the town bill.
So moved.
I second.
So motion by Mike Moffett, and second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bovat,
Aye?
Pat Connolly,
Aye.
and Mike Moffett.
Aye.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Reports and correspondence, item 6, board members.
The Heartland project, or whatever you want to call it. If you could just give us an update on what's going on with that.
Okay, so unfortunately, unlike the splash pad project, I have not heard anything back from the adjuster. I forwarded the emails with regard to that to Tyler and Mr. Bovat. I submitted an email with the estimates that you sent me on August 31st and had heard nothing of any sort of, as far as a receipt of that information. I reached out to the adjuster before I left for vacation, and his voicemail was full. Got back from vacation, and called him yesterday and left another voicemail, called our agent today and asked her to reach out. She spoke with his supervisor, and his supervisor said that he was in the field and would get back to us. So unfortunately, I haven't heard anything back about that. But hopefully now that I've rattled the cage a little bit, we'll hear something more about that pretty soon. So unfortunately, that's kind of where that's at this point. I was really disappointed that I hadn't heard anything back on that at all. Unlike the other one where we had questions and they had contacted the company for verification and all that kind of stuff. So that's unfortunately where that's at.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
No?
No, sir.
I don't know if you guys are all familiar kind of what that is. That's from that storm, August 10th, that came through,
Right.
destroyed the bleachers and the fence out there. We got the estimates and everything. I forwarded it to Craig. Pretty much three of the bleachers were destroyed beyond repair. That came out to $6,841. And then the fence, It was opposite of what I originally thought it was. Each one was opposite. It still wasn't what I guessed, but I was opposite. Like I thought the fence was gonna be like 6,000, the other one's gonna be like 1,000. But the fence it came in about $875 to straighten and reset 15 posts in the right field. And these are the ones that we turned in for the insurance. That's what we're talking about here. And then by going out there with Tyler and Gabe, we went out there and looked at it. Basically, the Babe Ruth field has 4 bleachers on it. 2 of them the 3 of them are completely destroyed. There's 1 that's still going to be there. They're going to be replacing 3. What we're thinking, us as the parks, that's what the one that says parks in here, is if all this goes through, because we kind of got a tail back on that, on the back of that side for the freight and everything, we could get another bleacher for $1965. So we would have 4 brand new ones around the Babe Ruth field, so they'd all look the same. They'd all be mounted. They'd all be, in good shape. Out of all the beat up ones and pieces and everything, they'd be able to put another one together for $670. But it would kind of be beat up, old looking. We take both of those and take them over to the T-ball fields because there's no bleachers over there. But what we'd be doing as the park, this all has to go through first, so we can kind of tail on the back side of it. But we'd be doing the 1965 for a brand new set of bleachers, and then the rebuild, putting together with all the bits and pieces for $670, which is a total of $2635.
So
That's, I don't know if that's just a suggestion for now, because until we know what they're doing, we don't know what the town, I don't know if it's gonna be a deductible, if we'll be $2,500 short, who's gonna pay the deductible, that's a little bit going on there, but that's what the fencing, that project is. And there was another one in there for the, 1884, that was just something different on there. It was all in the same bid that they sent out. That was something completely different. That was with the baseball. We've already done that. It's already been paid for. But in that packet that came from Fence Masters, from Paddock Bleachers, it was a service and repair, all 9 bleachers that are already out there. The back basically just redid everything. But that was like $1,800. But that's already been paid. That's not us. That was St. John Youth Baseball.
So St. John Youth Baseball took care of that.
The service and repair for 1884. That's already been paid and done.
Okay.
So when are they gonna visit on that idea of having the 4 bleachers around Babe Ruth and moving the 2 to the T-ball fields?
That's going to be on the insurance that we're waiting for.
Okay.
Because the insurance, we're trying to get them to reimburse.
Because I think that's a great idea.
For the 3 that got destroyed and for the fence that got bent over, or blown over.
So just keep in mind, you mentioned the deductible. Our deductible is $2,500, so it's whatever they would normally have, whatever it costs for that repair minus the $2,500, because that's our deductible. So just keep that in mind. So we're only gonna get a partial reimbursement for both of these, for both Heron Lake and for Heartland.
And that was something, because I know the town council said they'd be willing to help. Would they be willing to help pay that $2,500, or how would we bring that up, or is that?
We would have to bring that up with them next week, I guess, but not knowing at this
Right,
point how
that's-
much we're gonna get,
you
it's
said,
a
it
little bit
was
premature
it's
to
not
do
us.
that. So, yeah. But anyway, that's something to keep in mind.
And like I said, that way it's kind of like everybody's pitching in,
Yeah, and it's unfortunately $2,500 per location because it didn't all happen at the same place. So it's $2,500 for Heron Lake and it's $2,500 for Heartland. So, yeah, that's just something to take into account.
I don't think that's a big rush for Heartland because they're in fall ball now. I mean, we're in September already. But I mean, I think that's a great idea. However we can work it out. I think that would be a good thing for, I mean, St. John's nothing but growing, so they, granted, everyone brings their chairs, but it's always nice to have bleachers as well.
Right. Those bleachers are 18 years old. They've never blown over, never moved. And all of a sudden, this storm, they decided to go. But like they said, these bleachers were never mounted into the concrete. That's part of this new bid. Every bleacher is going to have 2x6 that they sit on. They will be bolted into the concrete.
Anchored down.
So that'll never happen again.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Anything, Pat?
No, sir.
We can move to the town council liaison, Mr. Pondinas.
Yeah, Civic Park, the concession stand is supposed to be painted on the outside. That should be coming soon.
Haven't heard anything more about that, unfortunately.
And, well, he said he was gonna do it, so we'll see what happens. Maybe you can call him tomorrow or
He's
whatever.
supposed to, yeah, I'll call him if you want. He said he would call before they would do it, but I haven't heard anything from him, so I can follow up with him.
And then Heartland Park, where we put 30, 35 loads of dirt that's all been leveled now and spread out, and it all looks a lot better than what it did. So that's all done now. So that's complete. And that's it.
What is the final grade of that be? Is it gonna be grass, mulch?
They haven't decided.
Because I know that's gonna, within 6 weeks, that's probably gonna get overgrown with weeds again.
Right, and I put a call into a landscaper to give me an estimate on it, and he hasn't gotten back with me. I'll try and get back with him tomorrow,
I'm just curious. All right.
or tonight.
On that note, for the Heartland, by the sheds, I'm not sure if it's Public Works or Gabe or whatever, they put mulch all the way out. There used to be a big, huge mound of just dirt and weeds. They went out there and put mulch all the way along that whole berm. Actually came out very nice. I want to thank, whoever did that. Gabe, I know you're a big part of that. Thank you.
Gabe, did you have any comments for anything?
Oh, no.
We're still trucking along. It's going a little bit slower right now without the extra help. We're coming into some of the festival seasons with like Christmas in the park and all that, so I'm gonna start gearing up for that as well. I just got done laying some seed and dirt over at the dog park. Still out there cutting branches here and there from the storms. We actually paid a tree service to come out from Edgewood to take care of some trees that were against the power lines. They're about 80 feet tall, 90 feet tall. They're all dead. We were only able to get 5 out of the 8 done within our limit to take action on it right now. I would like to maybe go back to it and have them come back and get the last 3. Again, these are all dead trees. This has been an issue, I guess, for 3 years with this resident. The trees keep falling every time the wind blows over 15 miles an hour onto their power lines, and they lose power. So this is an ongoing issue. So we've removed 5 of the 8 trees, and there's 3 left. So maybe if we can get the okay to go back at it again and get that all knocked out this season before next year, and so she can be done with having her power out, or that area can be done with having their power loss.
Yeah. NIPSCO isn't doing anything with that?
They came and they trimmed the bare minimum and then left it there for me to pick up.
Okay.
So, but there's still other trees. Again, they're dead and they're by power lines. That's why I'm not touching them.
Sure.
Otherwise, I don't have the equipment to get up there with a boom and start cutting them down.
This was one of the first emails I received from this resident when I started, so she said it had been an ongoing issue for several years now.
Well, we made a lot of headway, and what else we need to do to get it cleaned up then? I mean, we need,
Do we know how much it'd be to cut the 3 trees out? How much would it be? Do we have any idea?
Anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. We just paid $1,000 for 5.
well, get us some bids, and then we'll see.
If it's under the 4,000, I can coordinate those efforts with Craig
Okay,
to see that gets done.
absolutely, yeah, that'd be ideal. Get that knocked out.
Yes, definitely.
And then, Mr. Schilling, anything, or? Okay. Moving to,
Craig, did you have?
Yeah, I had a few other items, if you don't mind.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So just a couple of updates. As you're all aware, I had sent out an email to you, I believe about a week and a half ago, regarding Founders Park and Prairie West, that we had received the approval for the expenditure for the Community Development Block Grant funding for both of those projects. So that's good news. Now, that being said, however, the Founders Park project relies on a grant agreement for the remainder of that 50/50 grant that I explained to you before. And the state is dragging its feet on getting those grant approvals done, probably due to COVID. I'm guessing most likely. Things are slowed down there. So I'm going to try to rattle the cage a bit downstate to see if we can get that done, because we're under a certain timeline in order to be able to spend those funds that we received from the Community Development Block Grant. We have 1 year from the date of approval, which was that date that I notified you, to expend those funds. And we did receive an email, and I can forward this to you as well. We did receive an email from the state saying that the process for the review of the, or the approval of the grant agreement for the DNR grant was delayed. And they didn't give us a timeline. They didn't explain why, other than we assume it's because of things being slowed down downstate because of the virus and that sort of thing. But so I'm going to try to, like I said, communicate with somebody at the DNR to find out when they expect that to kind of move forward. There's nothing else holding it up from what I understand, but that's the status of that. So I just wanted to let you know. With regard to Prairie West and Founders, both the soil borings were done in both locations, but specifically there was more work that needed to be done at Prairie West because they did encounter some unsuitable soils on the far west end of the area where we would be hopefully adding some additional parking lot. And they did have to dig down about 25 feet before they did find suitable soil. So what's happening right now is our engineers are in the process of reviewing the report that was put together by the geotechnical company that did the soil borings there, to try to determine how much of an impact that would have on the project. And they're giving us a revised proposal to come up with a revised estimate of cost based on that, the findings of that geotechnical report from the soil borings. So again, we're kind of in a waiting situation to find out more about that based on that work done by the engineers. And I know, because I know Wayne had asked about the status of that, and that's kind of where we're at. So we've received the report. I think I forwarded a copy of it to you. It's pretty technical, so it's kind of, and it's actually kind of hard to understand. But that's where that's at. And the third thing is I was made aware that a round of funding through the Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission, and I want to talk to you more about this too, has become available as of last Thursday. Deadline for submittal of applications is, I believe, October 21st, which doesn't give us much time. But one of the project categories, it's mostly funding that's available for roadway construction and intersection improvements and that kind of thing. But there is a small portion of the funding that's available for specifically pathway improvements. So off-road pathway type improvements. And similar bike lanes and that sort of thing. And I want to explore the possibility of submitting an application for funding to connect the St. John pathway where it currently crosses Hedwig down by Homestead Acres Park, up to the new pathway we've installed along 96th Place that comes to the intersection with Kyleman. So that stretch between Homestead Acres Park and 96th Place, there's a lot of right-of-way to work with there. It's a very wide right-of-way. So there would really be no property acquisition needed to be able to do a pathway connection from that point south to Homestead Acres Park. And as I recall, there are very few, if any, driveways that are affected on the east side of that Kyleman and Hedwig Drive. And so it would be a relatively uninvasive project as far as any impact to property owners and that sort of thing. I think it would only impact maybe the community hospital facility and, well, the Kmart site. Maybe. I'm not sure if it even impacts that. But I wanted to get just a general blessing, I guess, if you would, from the park board, if you would be comfortable with moving forward with applying for funds, potentially to do that type of project along the east side of, most likely I said like the east side of Kyleman and Hedwig, down to Homestead Acres Park, or just have a discussion about this, because with a deadline of, and there's no guarantee that we would get this funding. It's a very competitive process with all other communities in Lake and Porter counties, and there's only a limited amount of funding available. But I do know that NERPC, Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, has encouraged us to kind of get more active in terms of seeking grant dollars again, and I'm interested in trying to seek more grant dollars than we perhaps have in the past. But I'm hoping to be able to get some preliminary engineering estimates done under the threshold of what I can approve for the engineering work to be done to accompany the application. But it may be necessary, if the application deadline is the 21st of October, I believe your next board meeting is the 20th of October, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's correct, right? So it may be necessary for me to come back and get approval from you to get the matching grant funds necessary, the funds necessary to match that grant. I believe it's an 80-20 match. So 80% of the cost of the project would be borne by the federal money that's available through NERC. 20% would have to come from local match. And I'll have some more discussion with you guys between now and that meeting about this and collect some more information, but just possibly coming back to you at your October meeting to request the 20% match necessary for that. I'm kind of throwing this at you. This just became available on Thursday, but just to kind of get the conversation going, if nothing else. And I'm going to try to see if I can get some estimates done, like I said, under the threshold that I can approve without having to come back to the board, because I really don't have any cost estimates for what this would cost to do. But just kind of get your feedback and, in general, hopefully get your blessing to move forward with exploring this. So it would be nice to be able to connect the western, pathway segments on the St. John pathway, as we call it, up to what we just installed on 96th Place. And then eventually our goal is to hopefully be able to figure out how to connect from where St. John Place currently terminates at Joliet, somehow from there east to the pathway that's along 101st Avenue, to the north of the gates there. So it'd be nice to be able to eventually be able to get all the way across town with a pathway to connect up a lot of neighborhoods. That's kind of the overall general concept eventually. But for now, this first suggested project is a relatively easy kind of, low-hanging fruit type of project that we could do to kind of get that going. So happy to take whatever feedback you have or any questions you have about that, but it's an opportunity that we have that we maybe could pursue. So,
Like a new path?
yeah, it would replace the sidewalk that's there now. It would basically widen it, is what it would do. So it'd become, sidewalk would come out and the new pathway would be installed. Like I said, most likely, at least initially, it looks like the most feasible place to put that would be on the east side of the road, because I don't believe there are any driveways, only street crossings. I don't believe there are any private driveways affected by that, with the exception of, like I said, no residential driveways, with the exception of the two or three commercial driveways between 97th and 96th. So, just an idea. I'd like to, really like to get back in the game of getting NERC funding so that we're kind of, on the radar again for perhaps getting bigger opportunities in the future as well. So.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, because I had talked to Tyler, and with the 5-year plan, that's kind of the focus, is the paths and the, walking paths, bike riding paths, and.
Yep, and I believe it's also part of the recreation impact fee study that was done. It was one of the deficiencies that was identified in the recreation impact fee analysis, and so it would be appropriate for us to consider using recreation impact fee dollars to match this grant if we were able to get it. So, just a, idea. I can discuss this with you more in detail, but I wanted to just kind of bring the concept to you guys, and then potentially bring an approval back to you at the October meeting.
Okay, and then I was going to ask you real quick, like with the Founders Park and the DNR block grant, you said it had about a year. Any idea ballpark about how much longer
The DNR is going to take?
Well, no, the timeline.
Oh, the
How much
construction?
time?
Well, we had hoped to break ground on this project this fall, but that's not going to be able to happen because the DNR has not approved the grant agreement yet. And I believe it was anticipated that the project would take up until about May of next year to complete, for substantial completion of the project. I would have to check with Tagi Arshami at the Arsh Group that had worked on that project with us to see how this news that we received from the DNR affects the project time-wise at this point, given the fact that it was kind of straddling the winter season before. Would we be able to, get this project done if we can get the approval from the DNR on the grant agreement? Would we be able to get this project done in that timeline? Now, given the fact that it's only partial federal funding, But the problem with receiving federal funding is you cannot break ground on a project until they say it's okay to do so if there's any federal grant money involved in it. So it's an unfortunate pitfall. It's good to receive the grant money, but given the circumstances with the state, hopefully the fact that we received the funding, maybe we can, like I said, rattle the cage at the DNR to hopefully get them to get us the grant agreement sooner rather than later.
Well, just to make sure that we don't get exposed and go past the deadline, can you communicate with them and say, hey?
Yeah,
you know,
we're hoping
it's-
that's, yeah, exactly.
It's not on our part, but the state is kind of with,
Yeah, well-
and maybe get an extension or? is
That
there
I've
any
never
way-
heard of before. I've never heard of that before, but I don't know if it's possible
Well,
or not. I can talk to the representatives
Never
at the
had
county.
COVID before either, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
the,
we get the money for this through the Lake County Economic Development, Community Economic Development Department. They're the ones who administer the community development block grant for the whole county. I can reach out to them and see, you know, given the circumstances. Now, the email I sent you, that indicated that the grant money was available, did remind us we have a year to spend the funds. So I don't know. I can ask them if there's any situation, you know, where that has been extended or, you know, whatever, and let you know.
if you could ask.
Yeah, I can ask. I can ask.
I would appreciate it.
Okay. So just any feedback on this pathway idea then beyond that? Are you guys okay with me exploring this?
Definitely look in, I mean, I
Yeah,
think we definitely look into it.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
Like I said, Tyler, he had kind of mentioned with the 5-year plan, I know he's
Yep.
pretty anxious about that too, so.
Yeah, and I've been involved. I'm actually really excited because a couple of the projects that I was affiliated with with my previous employer are currently being built. And so I know what it takes to build pathways, and I know Tyler is very familiar with Goshen's system. They have a very extensive system of pathways. I mean, pathways are a great addition to a community. So people really love having a pathway network in their community. So anything we can do to extend that, we want to do. The other thing, more long-term, we would like to do is, I think you guys are familiar with the pathway segments for the the old Pensy Railroad through Sherrville. That right now, I believe they stop at Rohrman Park and they go. Now they go into Munster now, as I understand it. They've connected that segment that was disconnected from Town Hall up to just past, I believe it's Eagle Creek, or Eagle Ridge, up in Sherrville. That's going to be completely connected. So that pathway system will lead all the way from Munster down to Rohrman Park. But I think Sherrville has also already received funding, again, through this same set of funds to extend that pathway all the way from Rohrman Park down to the area around the dog park, the Perry Farini or whatever it's called, dog park down there on 93rd. It's not 93rd there, is it 91st there? 91st. So they're already going to be coming down all the way to that point. More long-term, I would love to be able to see if there's a way for us to connect east over to that point so that so residents of St. John can access that larger network of pathways that's already in place throughout the region. So that's a bigger project down the road, but, you know, just thinking more globally about how do we better connect our community to that system. So, but initially, this one project to kind of just better connect our own community within itself to other parts, so.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
you.
President, Bill, I got a couple more items here.
Okay,
I just want to give a brief update on a few programs and events we have coming up. So our fall Beanbag League is scheduled to start this Thursday. We're a little light on teams right now, so we'll see where we're at. I think we had 5 signed up as of yesterday. I know there's going to be some more, though, coming.
sure.
And that league is scheduled to run from September 17th till November 5th. And that's at the Midwest Ice Arena. And we also have a fishing derby coming up on Saturday, September 26th at Prairie West Park from 8 to 11 a.m. This is a free event, but we are asking participants to register at the clerk treasurer's office by next Monday. As of Friday, I think we had 25 kids already signed up for it.
Nice.
This is part of the DNR Free Family Fishing Day. They normally do a few of these dates every year. I think they're typically in the spring and summer, but with COVID, they added a fall date this year. So a license isn't required on the state, so we're gonna, take advantage of it. It's catch and release only, there's gonna be prizes, and I have submitted a COVID mitigation plan to the county health department just to make sure they're okay with it. Waiting to hear back from them, but
Excellent.
we don't foresee any problems there. Also, one of our fall events, we do a Halloween-themed event, Boo Fest. It's scheduled for Saturday, October 24th. That's going to be from 10 to noon. And I decided to move that to Civic Park this year as to not conflict with any work being done at Prairie West, since some of that work was up in the air. A few of the past activities, kids got a free pumpkin, played games, and got candy, and there's some train rides as well. We're still working through what we can do through the COVID mitigation plan. But it's still something I'd like to at least give a shot to see what we're able to do. I look to get other departments involved as well to hand out candy. Town councilmen are welcome as well.
We don't want anybody getting scared, so just, be careful there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Gonna dress me up as a pumpkin, huh?
Right, so this is an established event, but this year it might look a little different. It might be an abbreviated version of it, but it's still something we can see what we're able to do.
Well, I think it's excellent to follow through and to have those functions, I know the kids, they won't complain. They'll love it. They'll enjoy it immensely.
Right.
Thank you for that, Tyler. Anything else?
No.
All right, and with that, we'll move to item 7, payment of bills. And I think we have the voucher and the summary. Payment of bills, the amount of $78,888.60 for payment of bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I second.
It's a motion by Mike Moffett and a second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bovat,
Aye?
Mike Moffett,
Aye.
Pat Connolly.
Aye.
Item number 8, any public comments? Yes. They always have that at the end, I don't know why.
I'm Katie Slager. I live at 9417 Woodland Drive.
And I'm Michelle Metzger. I live at 12615 West 93rd Avenue.
We live right next to Lammer Park, and the basketball court looks great.
Looks awesome.
Yes, so there's a guy that runs his business out of the park, and we've already been told that I guess that's okay to run your business out of a public park. I mean, he's there every single day, and he kind of just does what he wants. He parks where he wants. He's parked in our neighbor's yard recently.
He parks right at the entrance to the park. You have to ride on to
Yeah.
get there. And it's he's right in the way. And it's can you at least park to the side where there's spots to park? Why do you have to park right there?
He has a handicap sign on his van, but if you're going to get out of your van and teach softball lessons, I don't understand.
When you say he's running a business?
It's a business. It's
It's definitely.
2 guys and a girl, and they're out of that Dyer soccer arena, the indoor Dyer soccer arena. So they rent that in the winter, and then they use our park all summer. And I mean, we've had camps going on all week, cars up
summer.
and down. It's mostly people from Illinois too that are his clients.
But he's not being nice to the kids,
Yeah.
our kids,
Yeah.
the neighborhood kids.
Telling our kids they're not allowed to ride their bikes on the new basketball court, or he told,
He's gonna shoot down someone's drone. This
Yeah.
little kid, he was flying his drone, and he said, "I don't want you flying that here." And he kept yelling at the softball girls, "Pay attention,"
he was
focus.
he was screaming at the drone.
Yeah, and so
I did
he
talk
was
to
telling
Gage,
this
he
kid,
said just call the police, but I just don't want to call the police for something.
Unfortunately, he's not breaking the law.
Yeah,
There's not much the police are going to be able to do.
okay.
If it's not posted, he can't park there.
Yeah.
If it's a no parking area, absolutely. Or if it says handicapped only.
Yeah, so I
Then
was
they-
gonna
then-
see, can we get a sign requested so he can't park on the new asphalt?
Well, I mean, that's something we could do, 'cause they do that a lot all over the town, like no vehicles on the bike path or something like that. I mean, I could see that.
Okay, I mean, you guys have a barricade up, he backs his van right on top of it right now, so we're like.
On
Just-
top of the
he-
basketball court or
No,
on top of the
new-
path that
On
goes?
the new path that you guys
Okay.
just put in, so, but before that, he was parking on the basketball court, and then I went down there and said something to him, if you run over one of my kids, you know, like, you cannot park in the park.
Right.
So, and then my husband's like, told me I'm not supposed to be, he's like, call the police, do not confront anybody, so.
Another option, future, put those wood things like how they have out here at the preserve. There's little 12 by 12 wood things, so you can't
Right.
drive a vehicle down that path. And the actual middle one is replaceable. There's a paddock or something where you can move it if you have to do it in there. But
Oh, okay,
like we're still in the plans of redoing the softball field, so we don't want to put those in yet because we're gonna have some heavy machinery coming in there to work
Okay.
in there.
yeah,
But the part of him renting it out, or not renting it out, but doing lessons, unfortunately, we can't stop that
okay.
because
Yeah.
it is a public park.
Okay.
I mean, unless I'm wrong, but I mean,
I just figured maybe like, what if somebody got hurt from
Well,
his softball
I mean,
lessons,
that-
you know, and then it's on you guys.
well, that's in any park. Civic
Yeah.
Park's open, and we have travel teams that practice there
Okay.
nonstop. We can't kick them off. We'd like to,
Okay.
but we can't, because they have
Yeah.
every right to be there. The exceptions are like at Prairie or at Heartland, where there's actually like a lease that they have out there where they can actually lock those gates. That would be the exception. This is obviously different.
Okay. Yeah, we've tried before. We tried last year because he's been there for what, 5 years now? So,
As long as I know.
yeah. So, but
Just keep calling the police, they'll get sick of coming out.
I don't like, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to call.
Well, I mean, if he's confronting children, he
Yeah,
shouldn't
or
be
shooting
doing
down-
that.
Threatening
Yeah,
to shoot down drones. Number one, in my opinion, I got a wife and 2 daughters. I tell them, don't ever say anything to anybody, because today everybody's crazy. You never
Yeah,
know if
that's
somebody
what-
lost their job or whatever. But just call the police. I mean,
Okay.
if he's saying that, threatening kids, gonna shoot something, let him explain it to the police officers when they come.
okay,
Alright.
I mean, that's what I would do.
okay.
And then as far as like him driving, I'm not exactly sure, but you're saying the pathway that leads into the park, he's
Yeah, he
parking.
parks, as soon as that barricade comes down, I'm sure he'll be like right in the park, next to the porta potty, parked. Because he
With
has
his
a,
trunk open, everything.
Well, I
And it's
mean,
not like
if
just
he's,
to
if he's
unload.
parking like in the
I-
park,
Well, it's a driveway. You know what I'm saying? That we would have to put a sign up, I'm guessing,
a
that would have to
sign.
say no vehicles on the path, kind of like how we have at the different parks. Or a gate, but those gates we don't want any more of those. The silver ones.
Do you think he needs a business license if he's has
That's what I was
classes?
thinking.
They're usually doing it for cash. They do it at Heartland every day. There's a guy out in a maroon pickup truck every day.
Wow.
Got girls out there, there's a female that's out there, same thing. They're out there every day.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but wouldn't they have to have some type of business license or something?
I don't think so.
Training or coaching, but, they're just doing that capacity of using the park, no different than another, access or sports team. They don't need to have a license in that respect either.
Is he selling stuff out of his car?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No.
Just talent.
Yes.
And it's actually common, like with baseball, like somehow you get talked going on like Triple Crown. You go in there and all of a sudden the instructor's like, hey, I give you cheaper lessons. We'll go out and do it at this park, Highland or St. John, whatever. So they're not paying the overhead to the actual dealer. They're doing it at the park. They know they can do it for free.
Oh, okay.
But when he starts saying he's gonna shoot down drones and threaten the children, and that's a
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
Where he gets where he's violating some type of ordinance, then the police can do something. Then, there's stuff they can do.
Okay.
But unfortunately, a lot of that there's not.
Okay.
And any statements that are being, alleged, there's nothing that, unfortunately, this board can do with that. That would be contacting the police for them to investigate the truth of those statements.
Okay.
So that's gonna be your best bet, obviously. If it's happening, your kids are reporting this much later.
Yeah. He never says anything when we're around. He says stuff to the kids, so. But- so. And my kids are pretty little, so I know they're not gonna lie to me yet. So.
I exaggerate.
well, we can follow up and investigate and explore getting a sign and maybe where to put a sign.
Authorized
That's-
vehicles only or something.
I think those are pretty cheap, aren't they?
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yep, I'll be happy with the sign, so,
Because then at least he's violating, he's
Yeah.
violating a sign. It's not technically an ordinance, it's a sign.
okay. cool.
It's, again, it's hard to, like, no, I'm not gonna go there, but
Okay.
at least it would be, if the police come out there, be like, there's a sign posted there.
Okay,
I mean, technically, I don't think, unless they passed an ordinance that you couldn't be on that path, we
Yeah.
couldn't cite him for being on that path. But there's a sign, we could say, there's a sign here, you shouldn't be parked, hopefully that
okay.
would work.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Yep,
All right.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you.
you. Any other comments?
Is he making a comment, or is he leaving?
Mike Schilling, 14132 Onyx Way. As the summer comes to an end here, I want to thank the park board for the vast improvements that were made, along with the park staff. As I go through town and drive through town, I can see the improvements this year alone in some of the aging park infrastructure that was bad, like the ballpark or the basketball courts in Lancer. That was chopped up and bad for years. I appreciate your guys' hard work in getting those problems addressed. Another thing, the cleanup of the overgrowth in the town parks this year was great. So I appreciate your guys' work. I am a councilman, but I'm coming up here in public comment to make that. So,
Thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate it.
yep.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, consider adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
So motion by Mike Moffett, second by Pat Connolly. Mike Bobak,
Aye.
Mike Moffett,
Aye.
Pat Connolly.
Aye.
Thank you.